Hi, I'm Berkeley. Or at least that's what my birth certificate says. My mom has apparently decided I don't exist anymore. I stood on the front porch of my childhood home, key in hand, staring at a lock that no longer matched it. The afternoon sun beat down on my back, highlighting the 3 suitcases I'd brought home from college for summer break. What do you mean she changed the locks? My best friend Zoe's voice crackled through my phone speaker. Did you guys have a fight or something? That's the thing. We didn't. At least nothing major. We had that argument about me wanting to switch majors last month, but she seemed fine when we talked 2 days ago. I jiggled the key uselessly, as if it might suddenly decide to work. Have you tried calling her? 5 times, straight to voicemail. What about your dad? Can you reach him? I sighed, sitting down on my largest suitcase. He's in Seattle with his new family. Besides, he hasn't been involved with this house since the divorce. What about your brother? Maybe he knows something? I already texted Marcus. He's still at his semester abroad in Spain. He has no idea what's going on either. A car pulled into the driveway, and I recognized my neighbor, Mrs. Winters. The silver-haired woman rolled down her window, concern etched across her face. Berkeley? Everything all right, dear? You've been sitting out here for nearly an hour. Hi, Mrs. Winters. I'm locked out. Mom changed the locks, apparently. Her eyebrows shot up. That's odd. Your mother didn't mention you were coming home today when we had coffee yesterday. She knew I was coming. We confirmed my arrival date last week. I felt my stomach tighten. Did she say anything else? About me or the house? Mrs. Winters hesitated. Well, she did mention she was finally taking control of her life and making some changes. I assumed she meant her new job or maybe that meditation class she started. Zoe, I'll call you back, I said into the phone before turning back to Mrs. Winters. Did she mention any specific changes? She said something about the house being too big now that you kids are grown. But Berkeley, there was a for sale sign delivered this morning. I assumed you knew. My blood went cold. A for sale sign? She's selling the house? I'm sorry, dear. I thought this was all planned. Do you have somewhere to stay tonight? My guest room is always available. Before I could answer, a sleek black car pulled into the driveway. My mother stepped out, freezing when she saw me. Berkeley? What are you doing here? She asked, her voice unnaturally high. What am I doing here? I live here, Mom. We talked about me coming home today. She fidgeted with her car keys. I thought we discussed you getting your own apartment this summer. We discussed it as a possibility for next year. You said, and I quote, "We'll talk about it when you come home for break." Mrs. Winters cleared her throat awkwardly. I should get going. Dinner's in the oven. As she drove away, my mother approached, keeping unusual distance between us. Berkeley, I've made some changes. I think it's time we had an adult conversation. Adult conversation? You changed the locks without telling me, and apparently you're selling my home without even mentioning it. That's exactly it. It's not your home anymore. You're 21 now. It's time you stood on your own 2 feet. Mom, I'm still in college. Where exactly am I supposed to go? She straightened her blazer. I've paid for a month at the extended stay on Fairview. Your things are in storage unit hash 428 at Safekeep Storage. Here are the keys. She held out a small envelope. I stared at her outstretched hand in disbelief. You packed up my entire life without telling me? What about our family photos? Dad's records? The quilt Grandma made me? All properly stored. Berkeley, this isn't personal. I need to downsize, start fresh. The house is too big for just me, and frankly, the market is excellent right now. Not personal? You literally erased me from the house. Don't be dramatic. I simply accelerated a transition that needed to happen anyway. As we argued, my phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Just got off phone with Dad. Something weird is happening. Call him ASAP. I can't believe she just kicked you out like that, Zoe said, helping me unpack essentials in the sterile extended stay room. And she really seemed to think this was completely normal. She kept saying it was for my own good, and how I needed to learn independence. I collapsed onto the bed. Dad says she's been acting strange for months. Secretive phone calls, changing passwords on their joint accounts. What did the lawyer say? Zoe asked, organizing my toiletries in the tiny bathroom. Mr. Grayson says it's complicated. Since my name isn't on the deed, I can't stop her from selling. But here's the thing. Apparently, when my parents divorced, the settlement specified that the house would serve as residence for their children until we both finished college. Zoe poked her head out of the bathroom. So she can't actually sell it? Not legally, not yet. And there's more. Dad never took his name off the deed. They still co-own the house. Plot twist, Zoe exclaimed. So what's the plan? My phone rang. My brother Marcus. I put him on speaker. Burke, I just landed in New York. I'll be there tomorrow morning, he said, airport announcements blaring in the background. You didn't have to cut your semester short, I protested. Are you kidding? Mom's having some kind of breakdown. Dad's freaking out. And you're homeless. Of course I'm coming. Mr. Grayson thinks Mom might have a buyer already lined up, I explained. Everything happened too fast for it to be spontaneous. Dad thinks she might be seeing someone, Marcus said. Some investment guy she met at her new job. Wait, what new job? She's been at the accounting firm for 15 years. Apparently, she quit 2 months ago, started at some startup called Future Vest Enterprises. Zoe and I exchanged glances. She never mentioned changing jobs, I said. Dad's sending his lawyer from Seattle, Marcus continued. They're filing for an emergency injunction to block any sale. After hanging up, I called Mrs. Winters, hoping for more information. I feel terrible about this, Berkeley, she said. Your mother has been different lately, always with that same man in the expensive suits. Do you know his name? I heard her call him Richard once. Very charming fellow, but something seemed off. Last week I overheard them talking about liquidating assets and offshore opportunities. The next morning, I met Marcus at a coffee shop near Dad's lawyer's office. My brother looked exhausted, his usually neat appearance rumpled from the overnight flight. You look terrible, I said, hugging him tightly. International flights will do that. How are you holding up? He examined me with concern. I'm angry, confused, and apparently homeless, but otherwise great. Miss Patterson thinks we can stop the sale, Marcus said, referring to Dad's lawyer. But there's something else you should know. Dad had the accountant look at the family finances. Mom's withdrawn nearly $200,000 over the past 3 months. What? That's impossible. That would be almost all their savings. Exactly. And she's been asking about how to access your college fund. She can't do that, can she? Not without your signature, but she's been trying. Dad froze all the accounts this morning. A text from Zoe flashed on my phone. You need to see this. FutureVest isn't a real company. It's a shell. Check your email. I showed Marcus the article Zoe had forwarded, an expose on investment scams targeting middle-aged professionals. Richard Cantwell, Marcus read. Known aliases include Richard Connor and Richard Carlton, suspected of defrauding victims of over $3 million in fake investment schemes. That's why she's selling the house, I whispered. She's being conned. We need to talk to her, Marcus said. But carefully. If this guy has manipulated her this much already. She won't listen to us, I said, remembering her cold demeanor. But I have an idea. The temporary restraining order came through just as the for sale sign was being hammered into our front lawn. The worker, confused by the legal document I presented, called his supervisor and eventually left without completing the installation. I was sitting on the porch when my mother's car pulled up, Richard beside her. I'd never seen him in person, but the expensive watch and too perfect smile matched the photos from the article. What is this? My mother waved the legal notice she'd received. A restraining order? Against your own mother? It's not against you, Mom. It's against the sale of the house. I remained seated, maintaining an outward calm I didn't feel. Richard stepped forward, hand extended. You must be Berkeley. Your mother's told me so much about you. Richard Cantwell, pleased to meet you. I didn't take his hand. Funny, she's told me nothing about you. Berkeley? Mom snapped. Don't be rude. It's not rude to be cautious about the man who's convinced my mother to sell her house and drain her savings. Richard's smile tightened. I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm simply helping your mother make smart financial decisions. Like investing in Future Vest Enterprises? A company that doesn't actually exist? My mother's expression faltered. What are you talking about? Of course it exists. I work there. No, Mom, you think you work there. Have you received an actual paycheck yet? Or are you still investing with the promise of big returns later? Richard placed a hand on my mother's shoulder. Linda, perhaps we should discuss this privately. Your daughter is clearly upset and confused. I'm not confused, I said, standing. But I think my mother is. Richard Cantwell, or should I say Richard Connor, or Carlton? The police would like to know which name you're using these days. His expression darkened. You don't know what you're talking about. $3 million, multiple victims across 4 states. The SEC has quite a file on you. My mother looked between us. Richard, what is she talking about? Nothing, Linda. Just a case of mistaken identity. He tugged her arm. Let's go. He's not mistaken, Mom. Marcus emerged from inside the house, timing his entrance perfectly. We have proof, and Dad's lawyer is meeting with the FBI right now. You can't be in there, my mother protested. I changed the locks. And I had keys to the back door, Marcus replied. Still my home, according to your divorce settlement. Richard's charming demeanor vanished. Linda, we need to leave. Now, remember our plan? The plan to take her money and disappear? I challenged. Or the plan where you convinced her to sell her house out from under her children? My mother's face paled. Richard, tell them they're wrong. Tell them about the investment opportunity. There is no investment, Mom, I said gently. It's a scam. He's done this before. Linda, don't listen to them, Richard hissed. They're trying to control you, just like your ex-husband did. Remember what we discussed? Financial independence? Is that why you quit your real job? For financial independence with a man you barely know? Marcus asked. I didn't, Mom stammered. Richard grabbed her arm. We're leaving, now. Take your hands off her. Marcus stepped forward. Richard shoved him backward. Stay out of this, kid. The police car pulling up interrupted the confrontation. Officer Ramirez, whom I'd met earlier that day, stepped out. Richard Cantwell? She called. We'd like to ask you some questions regarding several fraud investigations. Richard bolted toward the back of the house, but was met by a second officer coming around the side. The struggle was brief, ending with Richard handcuffed on our front lawn. My mother collapsed onto the porch steps, her face buried in her hands. The paperwork is all set, Mr. Grayson said, sliding the documents across the table. The house will be placed in a family trust, with both you and Marcus as beneficiaries, and your father as trustee until you finish college. 3 weeks had passed since Richard's arrest. My mother sat across from us in the lawyer's office, looking smaller somehow. Her confident facade crumbled. And my mother? I asked, not looking at her. Mrs. Hamilton will retain visitation rights to the property, but no ownership stake. The divorce settlement has been formally enforced. This isn't necessary, my mother said quietly. I've apologized. I've explained what happened. Richard was very convincing. It is necessary, I interrupted. You tried to sell our home. You packed up my entire life without telling me. You fell for a con man, which could happen to anyone, but you chose to betray your family in the process. I was confused. He made me believe that abandoning your children was justified? Marcus asked. That erasing our home was acceptable? She flinched. I've admitted I was wrong. What more do you want from me? We want you to understand why we can't trust you with our home anymore, I said. Or with our relationship, at least not right now. The good news, Mr. Grayson interjected, is that the FBI recovered most of the money. Your retirement account is largely intact, Mrs. Hamilton, though the cash withdrawals may be harder to trace. After signing the papers, we stood to leave. My mother tried one more time. Berkeley, Marcus, please. We can work through this. We're family. Yes, we are, I agreed. And families are supposed to protect each other, not throw each other away. You chose him over us. You have to live with that choice. That evening, Zoe helped me move back into my old bedroom. The house felt different now, partly because some furniture was still missing, sold by my mother to fund Richard's investment, but mostly because something fundamental had shifted. It's weird being back here, I admitted as we rehung photos on my wall, knowing she wanted to erase all this. Are you sure you don't want to get your own place instead? Zoe asked. Your dad offered to help with rent. No, this is my home. I'm not giving it up just because she tried to take it away. Marcus appeared in the doorway with pizza. Food's here. Dad's on video call in the living room if you want to join. Downstairs, my father's face filled the laptop screen. How's the moving going? He asked. Still finding things Mom accidentally took to storage, Marcus said. But mostly back to normal. I'm proud of you both, Dad said. Standing up for yourselves, handling this legally. Did you ever hear from her? I asked. She left a voicemail. Lots of excuses, not much understanding. He sighed. The psychologist I spoke with says victims of these romance scams often have trouble accepting their role in what happened. It's easier to keep believing the lie than face what they've done. Later, as Marcus and I sat on the porch swing, he nudged my shoulder. So, half a house each. Not bad for college students. I laughed despite everything. Never thought I'd be a property owner at 21. What do you think happens now, with Mom? I watched the sunset painting our neighborhood in warm hues. She has to figure out who she is without Richard's influence, or Dad's, or even ours. And us? We protect what's ours, we finish school, we move forward. Together? He asked. Definitely together, I confirmed, bumping his shoulder with mine. Some bonds can't be broken, even by changing the locks.